Alright, so welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going back to basics. So last year I put a couple videos together about basic maintenance to the bikes. But of course, having the GSX-S1000 being my main bike last year, I did not get a chance to show you how to replace the fluid on a clutch system. So the GSX-S1000, they have a cable operated system, so you can play with the friction zone when you're engaging or disengaging your clutch. But in terms of replacing anything, you don't have, there's nothing to replace besides the cable if it were to broke. So with the VFR I have that opportunity now, so this is a great opportunity for me to show you how to do it. Very similar to how you do your brake fluid replacement. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start with it. I'll show it to you and let me know if you have any questions. Alright, so I want to do something different today. I want you to become familiar with the components before you go ahead and do this process, right? So some of you already know what it is, but it might be beneficial for those who are doing this process for the first time. This process can change from bike to bike, and I want to say mainly location-wise, things can be in a different place, but for the most part, essentially, the process should be the same. So today, if you have if you don't have a mechanical clutch, or you have your clutch that's operated by fluid, then you're gonna have a reservoir. So this is the one you have here, not to confuse it with the brake fluid or the brake reservoir, I should say. So the brake reservoir is gonna be on your right in this case, which we actually worked on a couple weeks ago. So you see the fluid, how clear it is. So it almost feels like there's nothing in it. It's actually so clear and clean that you can see through. But if you look at this one, you'll see it's like filthy and looks like brownish type of thing. So that means that the fluid has been there for a long time, and in addition to that, it probably has water in it. So in order to get a feel for how the level of the fluid is, I just put the bike upright, and you can tell that the fluid is, I want to say it's on the lower side, so probably you want to keep it upwards to what that level is. So that's something else that we're going to be dealing with whenever we are adding new fluid. Okay, and then the setup, like I mentioned, is very similar to the brake fluid. So you have a line with a banjo, similar to the same as you find on your brakes. So you have a banjo line and this brake line, very similar to that, because actually they use the same type of fluid. So they use braking fluid or brake fluid for operate the clutch as well. So of course you have your lever, and then if you come to the left side, at least on the VFR, then you have, for the most part, most bikes gonna be like that. But if you come here, that's when you see the end of the line that we just saw on the reservoir, and then in addition to that, you'll see the bleeder. I already removed the cap. The cap is right behind here, but you have a bleeder very similar to the ones you find on your braking system, which is going to have a nut incorporated to the bleeder, which is the nut you're going to be cracking open whenever you're ready or building pressure to remove the fluid. So in case you haven't done this before, this is going to be very similar to the way you bleed your brakes. So you're going to open this, which I'm going to show in a second. You're going to remove this. Hopefully you're going to remove the dirty fluid, because you don't want that dirty fluid actually going through the system again. You want to start pumping new fluid into the system, so it's easier and faster to get fresh fluid into the system. So remove that, add new one, and leave the lid open or off. And then, similar to the brakes, you're gonna be cracking these or pressuring these like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. On number 10, you're gonna keep the pressure on, and you're gonna go to the bleeder. You're gonna open it up, leave the fluid. Let the fluid goes out, and then as soon as your fluid is not coming out anymore, you're gonna stop it by tightening the brake bleeder. And once the brake bleeder is tight, then you can go ahead, release the clutch, and then check the level on the reservoir. And if the fluid is still, it was dark, leading the fluid on the master, then you're gonna go ahead, check the reservoir, add a little bit more, and then repeat the process over and over again. All right, so let's just do it right now. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead. First thing I'm gonna do, which is, of course, if you have a VFR, this is an option for you. If you don't have a VFR, this is not going to. Okay, now I have the bike upright. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and add some protection here for my paint. Okay, and first thing first, I'm gonna go ahead and move this a little bit. help of my screwdriver, I'm gonna start removing the bolts on the. So what I'm doing right now is just trying to keep it as straight as possible, so that if there's any liquid coming this way, it's not resting on this wall here, and it's just gonna automatically start coming out of the reservoir. Have both out, and I should be able to remove this now. Okay, there you go. Now let's just remove the diaphragm after we remove this plastic. There you go. Is that coffee or what? Okay, and similar to last time, I'm just gonna put a cup in here, and I'm going to start removing all of that dirty and nasty coffee. Look at that. This is insane. So let's just be careful not to be. I'm gonna come from this side because that's where the liquid is resting. Oh wow. You are not going to believe what I just found in here. Well, alright, so I am a bit surprised about this one, because I've seen sludge. I've never seen this much sludge in a braking system. I don't know if you can tell, but there's, you know, particles floating there, and that's okay. I mean, I've seen that before, but now I'm gonna show you something. So like, take a look at this. Look, I might use a Q-tip, which I don't like to do a lot, but because of the lint and potentially just leaving some of that in here, but wow, this is like solid. Wow. So that's one. Take a look at this. Really, man, like this bike is 04. I'm gonna bring it closer so you can see it. Look at that. Wow. This bike is an 04 model. So I'm like, is it fair to say that probably nobody ever took care of it? Because I've owned bikes for many years, and like I don't know how long you have to leave this in here before it solidifies like this. Look at that. This is like 5 times already that okay. So now it's pretty clean, so I'm just gonna take this, clean the rest. Wow. This is, of course, I'm starting with a sealed bottle, so I'm gonna start by filling up the reservoir. That's crazy. Okay, I'm gonna fill it up to the brim, but of course that's not what we want to do later on, because it's gonna spill whenever you put the diaphragm. Alright, so for today I'm using this, which is a brake bleeder. You can get those vacuum hand pumps, which I love. I just don't have one right now because mine broke a long time ago. So this kit is pretty cool. So you have this, which is great. This is gonna be this is gonna give you the opportunity to actually put the bottle in here. I think like this, and you can just rest it in a place that's magnetic, so that way you don't have like, if like say like this is a great example. If you have the line attaching here, chances are you don't have a line long enough to rest this on the floor or maybe on a table, so that way you can just put it in a place where it's just gonna stay, and you don't have to be thinking about this. So that's a great option for this, and fairly cheap. You can find it on Amazon for like $6. I ended up buying it on a parts store for like $9 because I wanted it, you know, as soon as possible. Anyway, so you will be attaching like a line in here, and then the other end is just gonna go to that nipple or the actual bleeder. So whenever you do that, you attach it in here. For example, I'm gonna put the bleeder in here, and of course you want this resting or at a lower level, not just at the same height, because it's not by, this is by gravity. It's not gonna have the effect we're looking for. So I'm just gonna put it in here. Say here, I'm just gonna do this, and I just leave it like that, and then you start pumping, liquid's just gonna start flowing, And then you want to probably stop if you're filling this one up when you get to like right here. Probably you want to stop, then just like dump it and then put a new one and you're good to go. So even though I have this, I'm still gonna be using or putting a pan at the bottom so that I don't have any brake fluid or any emergency where I have to dump it on the floor, whatever. It's not gonna be on the ground. You need a number 10, which is this one right here, and I'm just going to be do it with this hand so you can see it. I'm gonna put the line on top of the bleeder, and I'll show a. Alright, so this is how it should look like. So you have your line connected and you have your bottle at the bottom. I'm gonna show it in here so you see I have the line and then I have the bottle here. Okay, so I'm just gonna start the process now, and I have my 10mm on my hand ready to crack it open, and then I'm just gonna start putting pressure in here, and then always keeping an eye on the fluid on the reservoir. So I'll start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And hold it. Now I'm just gonna crack it open. Okay. Started coming out. You see how dirty it is. So now I will let it off and do this process again. Of course, every time I'm doing this, the fluid that's coming out is being replaced by fluid that was already on the reservoir. So that's why you want to keep an eye on how much the level is going down between cracking open, the nut. So I'm just gonna fast forward the process right now. Okay, and now I'm going to refill because I noticed the fluid is actually going down. Okay, so now I just added more. I know I'm not introducing air to the system. And keep going. Alright, so I'm happy with that. That looks so much better. And now I'm just gonna bring a rag. Do that. It's because I'm going to be removing the line, and there's always going to be a little bit of a spill of fluid, so I just want to be ready to catch it. Okay, so almost nothing if I show you here. And now I'm gonna pull the bottle to show you. Messy. Okay, so very happy with that. I actually felt a good difference on the feel on the brake as I was pumping new fluid, so you can tell the other fluid was not doing the good job at keeping things with enough pressure, because there was water in it, which is the reason why it turns kind of like that black color. All right, so as always, I like to take another crack. I mean, don't over tighten it, but just make sure that I have enough, that it's not loose. Okay, and now I'm just gonna come here with a paper towel. I'm gonna spray a little bit on the area that I just worked on. Make sure there's nothing gonna be leaking. That way I also know that I have a clean surface, and when I come back to monitor whether or not there's like any leaks or whatnot, I'm not finding myself like not knowing if the drop that was already on the system or in here like leaking through my engine or whatever was from before or maybe after. So that way I know exactly that I left a clean surface and I can move forward with that. Very similar to the brake system. You're gonna take a look at that and make sure that, let me just try to put it this way so I can get it more closer to a upright and center position, because if I were to move the handlebar this way, all the liquid or the fluid is just gonna turn left. So let's just add a bit more, not to bring it to the rim, but to bring it to that line, which is this one right here on the inside. Well, this is the lower, so I'm just gonna bring it like upward, like to here, so that if I put the diaphragm on, it's not going to be like spilling fluid outside of the reservoir. Same process back again. I like to see if the diaphragm is not dirty, specifically since we notice all that sludge. So it's clean. Now I'm I'm just gonna put the lid on. So I like to get it started. In this case, since I don't have a lot of space, I mean I have a short screwdriver, but still, I'm just gonna start it by hand with the screwdriver bit. Finish it. At this point, I can just turn it up right now. I don't want to overdo it in here. And just like I did before, I'm gonna spray a little bit in here, just to clean it up in case there's any residual. Like I said, I'm going to do a last inspection on this area to make sure that there's no drops that I did not see that can probably be leaking or maybe dropping on top of the plastics when I'm not on the bike. Yeah, it feels great. Sounds great. I am not advising you to go crazy on the bike while the bike is not, it's on the air. But since we have a center stand, I'm just gonna turn it on and then just take it through the gears, just to make sure that the clutch is actually engaging and disengaging properly. So don't neglect this service. Most of the bikes will ask you to do it every 2 years, but if you notice that on your window your liquid or your fluid is actually looking kind of dirty, then just go ahead and remove it and get new one flushed. You see, that's super easy to do. Your lines are not going to be exposed to water, and even better, reason to do it is actually your bike is going to be performing properly, and you're going to be getting the service you're expecting from your bike, and it's just not going to be breaking down the line by neglecting your service. So I hope that was good for you. Just let me know if you have any questions. I'll be more than happy to help you, and if you have any doubts about the process or any comments, just feel free to leave them. And if you can share this video, because this is something that can benefit someone else, then just do it as well. Subscribe if you want to see more projects that I have coming up. Thank you.